Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel, and for those of you who are new, welcome to my channel. My name is Rebecca Gardner, and welcome back to another episode of Read It With Me. So today we're going to be reading the second chapter, kind of. So the last episode we kind of talked about, so we're going to be reading Speak by Laurie Halse Anderson, and we're going to be reading the second part and the second section. And in the last episode we kind of talked about the book, and we read the first part, and I kind of asked you guys like what your first day of school was like, and I didn't get any comments. And also I got like a comment like asking me if they want to be if I would want to be their YouTube friend, and I was like, well, that's not part of the discussion, but sure. But guys, I really want to get this discussion going, so that's why I created this series, is that I wanted to interact with you guys. So in the last episode we read the first part of Speak, and we learned that Melinda starts out her school year as like she starts out as this wimpy kid. She's a very wimpy kid who nobody likes because they know who she is, like, yeah. And she kind of feels like an outcast, and her friends were spread apart, and they never spoke to Melinda again. And they were spread apart into like different groups. So, well, for today's episode, I'm gonna be reading 3 chapters. Yeah. So, the chapter that we're gonna get into is where Melinda walks into her English class, and she kind of talks about her English teacher, and then she goes to her social studies class, and her teacher was Mr. Neck, which I talked about. He was a very strict teacher that hates Melinda, and Melinda does not like him as well, so yeah. And then she goes, well, I'm not gonna like fully explain the whole entire plot because we're gonna be reading these, but yeah, that's kind of where we're gonna get into. And if you guys have the book with you, make sure that you follow along with it. If you still don't have the book, well, then you can borrow it from your parents, your siblings, your friends, your neighbors, or you can just go to a bookstore and come back to episode 1 and episode 2 of this series and follow along with it. So, yes, I'm gonna start reading the second chapter of this book. My English teacher has no face. She has uncombed, stringy hair that drips on her shoulders. The black hair is the hair is black from her part to her ears, and then neon orange to the frizzy ends. I can't decide if she had pissed off her hairdresser or is morphing into a monarch butterfly. I call her Hairwoman. Hairwoman wastes 20 minutes taking attendance because she won't look at us. She keeps her head bent over her desk so the hair flops in her face. She spends the rest of the class writing on the board and speaking to the flag about our required reading. She wants us to write in our class journals every day, but promises not to read them. I write how weird she is. We have journals in social studies too. The school must have gotten a good price on journals. We are studying American history for the 9th time in 9 years. Another review of map skills, 1 week of Native Americans, Christopher Columbus in time for Columbus Day, the Pilgrims in time for Thanksgiving. Every year they say we're going to get right up to the present, but we always get stuck in the Industrial Revolution. We got to World War I in 7th grade. I knew there had been a war with the whole world. We need more holidays to keep the social studies teachers on track. The social studies teacher is Mr. Neck, the same guy who growled at me to sit down at the auditorium. He remembers me fondly. I got my eye on you. Front now. Nice seeing you again, too. I bet he offers from post-traumatic stress order, Vietnam or Iraq, one of those TV wars. I find my locker after social studies. The lock sticks a little, but I open it. I dive into the stream of 4th period lunch students and swim down the hall to the cafeteria. I know enough not to bring lunch on the first day of high school. There is no way of telling what acceptable fashion will be. Brown bags, humble testament of suburbia, or terminal geek gear, insulted lunch bags, hip away to save the planet or sign of an over-involved mother. Buying is the only solution, and it gives me time to scan the cafeteria for a friendly face or an inconspicuous corner. The hot lunch is turkey with constituted dried mashed potatoes and gravy, the damp green vegetable, and a cookie. I'm not sure how to order anything else, so I just slide my tray along and let the lunch drones fill it. This 8-foot senior in front of me somehow gets 3 cheeseburgers, french fries, and 2 ho-hos without saying a word. Some sort of Morse code with his eyes, maybe. Must study this further. I follow the basketball pole into the cafeteria. I see a few friends, people I used to think were my friends, but they look away. Think fast, think fast. There's that new girl, Heather, reading by the window. I could sit across from her, or I could crawl behind a trash can, or maybe I could dump my lunch straight into the trash and keep moving right on out the door. The basketball pole waves to a table of friends, of course, the basketball team. They all swear at him, a bizarre greeting practiced by athletic boys with zits. He smiles and throws a ho-ho. He tried to scoot around him. Flop. A lump of potatoes and gravy hits me square in the center of my chest. All conversation stops as the entire room gawks, my face burning into their retinas. I will be forever known as that girl who got nailed by potatoes the first day. The basketball pole apologizes and says something else, but 400 people explode in laughter and I can't read lips. I ditch my tray and bolt for the door. I motored so fast out of the lunchroom. The track coach would draft me for varsity if he were around, but no, Mr. Neck has cafeteria duty, and Mr. Neck has no use for girls who can run 100 in under 10 seconds, unless they're willing to do it while holding on to a football. We meet again. Would he listen to, I need to go home and change? Or did you see what that bozo did? Not a chance. I keep my mouth shut. Where do you think you're going? It is easier to say It is easier to say nothing. Shut your trap. Button your lip. All that crap you hear on TV about communication and expressing feelings is a lie. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say. Mr. Neck makes a note in his book. I knew you were trouble the first time I met you. I've taught here for 24 years and I can tell what's going on in a kid's mind just by looking in their eyes. No more warnings. You just earn a demerit for wandering in the halls without a pass. Art follows lunch, like dream follows nightmare. The classroom is at the far end of the building and has long, south-facing windows. The sun doesn't shine much in Syracuse, so the art room is designed to get every bit of light it can. It is dusty in a clean dirt kind of way. The floor is layered with dry splotches of paint, the walls plastered with sketches of tormented teenagers and fat puppies. The shelves crowded with clay pots. A radio plays my favorite station. Mr. Freeman is ugly. Big old grasshopper body like a still walking circus guy. Nose like a credit card sunk between his eyes. But he smiles at us as we file into class. He is hunched over a spinning pot. His hands muddy red. Welcome to the only class that will teach you how to survive, he says. Welcome to art. I sit at a table close to his desk. Ivy is in this class. She sits by the door. I keep staring at her, trying to make her look at me. That happens in movies. People can feel it when other people stare at them, and they just have to turn around and say something. Either Ivy has a great force field, or my laser vision isn't very strong. She won't look back at me. I wish I could sit with her. She knows art. Mr. Freeman turns off the wheel and grabs a piece of chalk without washing his hands. Soul, he writes on the board. The clay streaks the word like dry blood. This is where you can find your soul, if you dare. Where you can touch that part of you that you never dared look at before. Do not come here and ask me to show you how to draw a face. Ask me how to find the wind. I sneak a peek behind me. The eyebrow telegraph is flashing fast. This guy is weird. I must see it. He must see it. He must know what we are thinking. He keeps on talking. He says we will graduate knowing how to read and write because we'll spend 1,000,000 hours learning how to read and write. I could argue that point. Why not spend that time on art? Painting, sculpting, charcoal, pastel, oils. Are words or numbers more important than images? Who decided this? Does algebra move you to tears? Hands raised, thinking he wants answers. Can the plural possessive express the feelings in your heart? If you don't learn art now, you will never learn to breathe. There is more for someone who questions the value of words. He sure uses a lot of them. I tune out for a while and come back when he holds up a huge globe that is missing half of the northern hemisphere. Can anyone tell me what this is? He asks. A globe? Ventures a voice in the back. Mr. Freeman rolls his eyes. Was it an expensive sculpture that some kid dropped and he had to pay for it out of his own money, or they didn't let him graduate? Ask another. Mr. Freeman says, No imagination. What are you, 13, 14? You've already let them beat your creativity out of you. This is an old globe I used to let my daughters kick around my studio when it was too wet to play outside. One day Jenny put her foot right through Texas and the United States crumbled into the sea. Voila, an idea. This broken ball could be used to express such powerful visions. You could paint a picture with it, with people fleeing from the hole, with a wet-muzzled dog chewing Alaska. The opportunities are endless. It's almost too much, but you are important enough to give it to. Huh? Sorry, I was not, reading it right, so... Huh? You will each pick a piece of paper out of the globe. He walks around the room so we can pull red scraps from the center of the earth. On the paper you will find one word, the name of an object. I hope you like it. You will spend the rest of the year learning how to turn that object into a piece of art. You will sculpt it. You will sketch it. Papier-mâché it. Papier-mâché it. Carve it. If the computer teacher is talking to me this year, you can use the lab for computer-aided designs. But there's a catch. By the end of the year, you must figure out how to make your object say something, express an emotion. Speak to every person who looks at it. Some people groan. My stomach flutters. Can he really let us do this? It sounds like too much fun. He stops at my table. I plunge my hand into the bottom of the globe and fish out my paper. tree. Tree? It's too easy. I learned how to draw a tree in 2nd grade. I reach for another piece of paper. Mr. Freeman shakes his head. He says. You just chose your destiny. You can't change that. He pulls a bucket of clay from under the pottery wheel, breaks off fist-sized balls, and tosses one to each of us. Then he turns up the radio and laughs. Welcome to the journey. So what we're seeing here is that her art, so Melinda is kind of like talking about her teachers, and she talks about how weird Hair Woman is, and then she talks about how not very well acquainted she was with Mr. Neck, and then she goes to lunch and someone like throws a potato, a mashed potato at her shirt, on her chest. So, why do you think that person did that? Let me know in the comments below, and like I said, I want to get this discussion going. So, let's discuss. Yeah, I think the reason why that kid threw a mashed potato at her is because he was kind of like making fun of Melinda. Like everybody just calls her like a squealer. Well, that was only in the movie. If you guys have, I don't think you guys have seen the movie, but yeah, in the movie, everybody was laughing at her, and they just call her a squealer. But in this book, everybody just laughs at her. And the guy who threw the mashed potato at her was all like, sorry, I go and squeal, I guess. I don't remember. Well, I don't really know what he's saying because, the book is so not very clear about that. And so Melinda tries to go somewhere to change or something like that, and that's when Mr. Neck tracks her down. And he was just being the mean teacher that he is. And oh man, that guy just kind of scares me. But then it gets to her art class, where her art teacher just talks about expressing your feelings and like learning art and using their imagination, like So I have other questions. One, I want you guys to think of some of your favorite teachers and why they are your favorite and what you learn from them. And also, I want to know what you guys think of why the author why the author if I can put this into words, man, why the author why did the author want Melinda to draw the tree? Why do you think the author wants to show the audience Melinda doing the tree? Why is she drawing the tree? Does that make sense? Why did the author decided that Melinda would create a tree? That's kind of what I'm asking. And also, what are some things that help you express your feelings? Because there is much more to expression more than just art. The way I use expression is writing. I love to write, and I would write in my journal, and I would write songs to express my feelings, and I just love to write in general, and it helps me to get my problems out. The other thing I like to do is sing. Singing helps me to escape from my reality, and writing helps me escape from my reality as well. So I want to know in the comments what helps you to escape from your reality. What helps you to express your emotions. So yeah, be pondering, and let's start the discussions in the comments. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. A new episode will be coming out on Friday, and new episodes will be coming on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. And don't worry, I will still be doing covers.